back, everybody. Today we're going over this forend that you see on my Mossberg 590A1 short-barreled shotgun. This is the Surefire DSF. So DSF standing for Dedicated Shotgun Forend. These are available for the Mossberg 500s, 590s, and the Remington 870 series of shotguns. They function exactly the same, of course. They mount up a little bit different on those 870s. But what we're going to do here today is go over all the details of the lights. We're going to go outside here in just a second, show you what it looks like outside, and then we're also going to show you what it looks like inside so you guys can get an idea of the output of it and the beam pattern, temperature, all that stuff. And then we're going to come in, go over the details of how it's made, the buttons and switches and all that fun stuff. And then at the end, we'll go over what I think of it overall. But first, we will let the dogs take a look at it, make sure they approve, and then check out the beam pattern. That fence in front of you is about 40 feet away, and we have the light on high right now. Those trees down there are probably 50 feet away, and you can see them pretty well. Here on camera, it's definitely a little bit darker than what you see in real life. Not sure if you guys can hear the cop car, but that's kind of interesting for this video. But anyway, you guys can see there is a little bit of an edge there on the corner of the fence. You guys can see the edge there, but it is a wide beam, which makes sense for a shotgun light. It doesn't have to be too throwy like you'd want with a rifle light, because the typical engagement distances that you're going to get with a shotgun are, of course, not as far as a rifle. So this is on the 600 lumen setting here, and then here, if I actually tap it real quick, you'll see it go down to the 200 lumen setting. So those of you guys who want a little bit more run time, and you guys may think, some people out there do think that, you know, more lumens than 200 is just too much, which I disagree with, but you guys can see there how the output goes down, and then again, we're back here at high. For comparison's sake, we have the Surefire Intellibeam here. You guys can see there, you have the edge there. Pretty similar in terms of overall spread of the light with the DSF. However, one thing is for sure, the throw on this, the hotspot, the candela on this particular light is much more intense than it is with the shotgun. Shotgun's got it spread out a little bit more. I'm not sure if that's going to come across here on camera, but on the right here is the Surefire Intellibeam light, and then here is the shotgun. Again, Intellibeam, you see it's a little bit hotter, at least it is in person. Not sure if you guys can tell there through the camera, but there's definitely more throw with the Intellibeam. Here we have the Inforce WMLx. You can see there's less of a hotspot on this one, and the edge is actually a little bit more defined as well. I'm not sure if that comes across there on camera, but hotspot's right there on the fence. Then you guys can see pretty much all the way to the right of your screen is illuminated with this light. Now again, for comparison's sake, here is the Surefire on the right, the DSF, and then over here on your left is the Inforce. We'll kind of put them right together there on the fence. You can see the Inforce doesn't have quite the hotspot that the DSF does, so it's actually even a little bit more spread out, which is actually kind of interesting looking at it like that. But again, Surefire, and then the Inforce. As for how it looks like inside, we're out in my garage. We're about 10 feet away from the corner that you guys are about to see. So we'll turn the light on. Again, that's the momentary on function. As you guys can see, I have my camera set up so that it looks pretty much like what it looks like to my human eye there. As you guys can see, it's very, very bright. That hotspot in the middle would be very disorienting to someone at this distance. Now, leave it on the constant on and switch back to the low setting. You guys can see there, it's still got a good hotspot, but it's definitely not as bright as with the 600 lumens coming out there. So just kind of depends what you want. If you want, of course, the longer battery life, this is where you want to be. Say, for instance, you engage the subject and then you just want to be able to monitor them while they're on the ground. If you're calling 911 or something like that, being able to click down 200 to get the extra battery life would be good. However, most defensive situations, in my opinion, you're going to want to leave it on the 600. Now we'll get into the basic controls of the forend. So up front here, we have this little kill switch on the bottom, and you guys can see there, it will completely turn the light off. So if you hit it, nothing will happen at all. You can press all the buttons you want, and nothing's going to come out in terms of light. And that is as designed. If you were, say, transporting your gun with the light on there and you don't want any accidental discharge or to run your batteries dead, you can flip it. Or I guess there's some uses where people would be very concerned with a negligent light discharge. You can flip it as well for that. Now, to turn it back on, just flip it back. And one thing I like about it is that it's shrouded. So the forend sort of goes around the switch. So if you bump it on anything, it's just not going to accidentally turn off. So I do like that. And then at this point when it's on, it will come on whenever you activate the switches. So speaking of those switches up front, and it's the same on both sides. Your forward one is going to give you the momentary activation, and then in the rear, you're going to have your constant on. So that, again, is the same on both sides. So regardless of how you want to actually activate it, you can, of course, use your fingers if you want to on either side, or your thumb. It will work the same right-handed or left-handed. One thing I do like is that the momentary is up front. So most people, their natural position is going to be right here for their hand. So it's very convenient to sort of work that with your thumb. And then if you want to have the momentary on, come back here and hit that button on the rear. Now on the left side, it is not on the right side of the Forend. We have the button that's going to differentiate and change the output rate. So here you can change it just by pressing it. You can see it bumps up to 600, and then if we want to go back down to 200 lumens, hit it again, and basically whatever mode it's in, when you turn it off, it's going to come back on in the same mode. So we'll turn that off, turn it on, it's still on 200, we're going to hit it again, go to 600, turn it off, come back on, it's on 600, hit it again, steps down to 200. So that is the controls of the light. Getting into the actual construction of the Forend itself, we have a polymer type material back here on the rear. These pads themselves are rubber pads, and they're built right in there, sort of like a pressure switch would be on an AR-15 if you wanted to add it afterwards. This is built right in, it comes that way from the factory. When I initially saw this, I was thinking that it might be a little bit slippery because you have this little bit of texturing here, and that is nice, but it's not slippery at all. And really, in my experience, what it comes down to that makes it not slippery is this little ledge right here on the backside. The fact that that comes up when you're gripping it, it just gives you a good surface to grab onto and really run it hard. And I've had zero issues with my hands slipping out at all. So this is sort of like I'm guessing it's a Zytel. They say it's a very durable polymer material. My guess would be Zytel. And then up front, the head here is made out of anodized aluminum. It is, of course, Type 3 hard anodized and mil spec in that regard, like just about everything Surefire puts out. And if we pull that off there, you'll see that we do have the O-ring seal on there, so that way it is weather resistant, and it is lubricated as it comes from the factory. You'll see the bezel has that sort of orange peely type of look, and what that's for is to diffuse the light as it's coming out. It gives you a nice wide beam pattern, as you guys saw, which of course makes sense for a shotgun. Shotguns are not typically used in the same type of, or rather at the same type of distances that a lot of rifles are, so it gives you a nice floody pattern that really spreads the 600 or 200 lumens out. And you guys can see in there we have the two batteries. It is powered by two CR123 batteries, and that's pretty much it. You'll see, again, the threads are lubricated, and other than that, it's a pretty simple design. To put it together, you just screw it back on. Just a couple things I didn't touch on so far. So number one, this one here comes in at, I believe, 18 ounces on my scale on the dot. So it is not lightweight. That would be super heavy if it was a rifle light, but I think on the end of a shotgun, it balances really well. I've not heard anybody say that it's overly heavy, even if they're using, say, like an 18-inch shotgun. And on the 14-inch here, I barely notice it at all. So that, in my opinion, for a shotgun, the weight out there on the end can be kind of nice in terms of mitigating that recoil and also helping you to sort of run the gun hard as you should with any sort of pump shotgun. So that's the weight on it. And price on these ones is, I think the MSRP is like $399. Looking around today, you're going to see them, generally speaking, from $300 to $350, depending on where you find them. Now, that is absolutely not cheap, no doubt about it, especially for shotguns. A lot of shotguns these days, even really good ones like 500s, 590s, 870 police, not the express models, those suck. But any of those can be found relatively inexpensively, and sometimes that's a lot of money for the light for a gun that you got for sometimes right around the same price. So I understand that, but Surefire, it is what they do. They make excellent lights that always work. I've never had a problem at all with the function of a Surefire light in all my years of shooting them, which is well over a decade at this point. And sometimes you pay for that, and the price is what it is. Now, of course, there are other options out there. You could get a different Surefire light and actually mount it up to your Forend somehow. That's an option as well. But to have the fully integrated system with the switches and stuff as easily accessible and ergonomic as they are, it kind of is what it is. I mean, if you're looking for a primary light for your home defense shotgun, I would take a look at it. I absolutely would, and I would definitely recommend it if you are. So I suppose that's it. If you guys have any questions about the Forend that we didn't cover here in the video, by all means, you can post down below in the comments section. You can also post over at my Facebook page as well. That is generally the best way to get in touch with me. Also, if you guys have one of these, feel free to let us know what it's like down below in the comment section as well. I'm sure other folks are looking for it. I'm just one guy with sample size of one light, so let us know what you think. And thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you aren't subscribed and like what you saw here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope to see all of you in the next video. All right, out of rounds.
Out of rounds.
So you're flinching a little bit there. So you see how in that last shot when there was no bullet, how you did that?
Yeah.
That's why you're missing low left. Because you're doing that, you're anticipating. And you're moving the gun.
Not poised.
Right. And so you guys can't see the target, but he's getting about 1 or 2 pellets on an 8-inch round target at about 15 yards, which at this distance, he should be able to get pretty much all of them on there. That means he's flinching, moving off target. So that's all right.
First time, a scary gun.
Absolutely. First time shooting a shotgun. What'd you think?
Yeah, it's a powerful beast. Absolutely.
It is.